Okay, so this is a quick video just looking at scripts. Scripts and storyboards, it's important to mention, are really, really similar. There's a lot of crossover between the two. There are a few things, though, that you get in a script that are unique to a script, and likewise, there are a few things that you get in a storyboard which are unique to a storyboard. Okay? I'm probably going to cover all of them, but hopefully we're going to recognize the big difference, the thing that really stands out as being unique to a script over a storyboard, is that a script contains all of the dialogue. It is also generally going to contain probably a bit more detail about how the characters are moving and how the characters react to things. Okay? But hopefully I'm going to be able to point out most of these things in this script. The other thing to note is that not every script is going to contain all of these things. They're written by people, so people write things in slightly different ways, and that's worth noting. Okay, so for the purposes of this, we're going to take a quick look at Star Wars. It's the original Star Wars, A New Hope. And as we scroll down, we see some direction about what's going to appear on the screen. Now, hopefully, most people have seen at least a Star Wars movie. They all start in much the same way. You get a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. Then it changes to some stars, and then you see these words sort of scrolling across the screen, and that will be these words here. Now, it's on a website and it's a bit picky, so I don't think. Yeah, I know I can highlight them. Those words there. After that, we have this description about what's going on. Now, if you've ever seen the opening series scenes from the original Star Wars movie, it pans down from those words. You get a spaceship come over the camera, and then a much bigger spaceship comes over the camera, and it's shooting. The bigger ship is shooting at the smaller ship. And actually, if we start to read through this, hopefully you're going to notice that what I'm telling you links up with what's written there. It says, the awesome yellow planet of Tatooine emerges from a total eclipse, her two moons glowing against the darkness. A tiny silver spacecraft, a rebel blockade runner, firing lasers from the back of the ship, races through space. It is pursued by a giant Imperial Star Destroyer. Hundreds of deadly laser bolts streaking from the Imperial Star Destroyer, causing the main solar fin of the rebel aircraft to disintegrate. Now, it's really quite specific about what's happening. And hopefully, if you have seen the movie, like I said, you sort of recognize it. And that's really important because anybody using this script for a practical purpose is going to need this direction in order to know what's happening on screen, what might need to get put together. In this case, it's probably going to involve a lot of the special effects people knowing that they need to get this shot of the two ships flying past the camera towards this planet with the lasers going backwards and forwards between them. Now, if we carry on a little bit, we start to see a little bit of dialogue. Now, when you see dialogue, you are typically going to see the name of the character, then you're going to see what they're saying. It is entirely possible then that without any proper break, you will see a description of what is happening. In this case, rebel stormtroopers rush past the robots and take up a position in the main passageway. The thing to note, okay, is the dialogue is typically indented. Okay, it's very, very common to see the title of the character in the middle, and then this information here, the stuff that they are saying, the dialogue centered, and then direction will take up the whole column. Okay, you might see it a few different ways, but fundamentally, you're probably going to see it taking up that sort of format. Okay, so this is dialogue here, and this is direction here. If we keep going, we might be able to pick out some instances where the script talks about shot type. I think it'll be rather difficult for me to find some, but when you look at things like this, which is actually describing the landscape on Tatooine, it sort of describes, even if it's descriptive rather than really specific, it describes the way the planet looks, it describes the type of shot that we're going to need to get. Okay. The other thing is that we will often see camera movement in the script. Now, in this particular script, as far as I can see, as I've scrolled through it, there's nothing specific saying we need to pan like this or pan like that or zoom in or zoom out. But you get an impression from these descriptions of the type of camera movement that we might see. Okay, these parts here are also useful. Exit Tatooine, desert wasteland, day. Okay, I think this is telling us that we exit that previous scene. We end up on the planet's surface. Is a very brief description of what that surface is like. It's a desert wasteland, and it tells us that it is daytime. It could tell us that it's nighttime. This would be another example of description. Okay. You will also find when you look in these descriptions that it tells you about sounds. It might tell you about sound effects. It might tell you about ambient noise. If you're in a forest or something, it might give you that impression that you've got lots of birds and bugs and stuff creaking and cracking in the background. Okay. The other thing to note, okay, the other thing that you might get asked about in an exam would be about the arrangement of the script. Now, in this case, we're talking about formatting, and I suppose I have already mentioned it a little bit, but to be a bit more specific, a script is always going to come in this format. Even if this was on an A4 piece of paper or a series of A4 pieces of paper, you're probably going to find that the text is in a sort of column format. It's going to take up the center of the page. Descriptions are going to take up the full width of that column and probably will be justified or aligned to the left, whereas any dialogue is going to have the name of the character. It's also going to have that text centered in the middle of the page. So hopefully I've sort of covered most points here. We've talked about the scene, blocks of text like this, really setting the scene, telling us what things look like. It could well be that we can include these texts here, which is sort of saying like what the scene is going to be like or what the scene is called. We're also getting in this script quite a lot of direction from blocks of text like that, but we're also getting them from these shorter sections that follow some dialogue. Whilst in this script we don't have things that are specific telling us about the shot type, we've got quite a lot of things in here from which we could infer what the shot type would be like. Likewise with the camera movement and the sounds. We've got our dialogue, which is this stuff that is centered in the middle of the screen. And I've mentioned the formatting, how it'll all be centered in the middle of the page with the dialogue indented even further. In a nutshell, that is everything you need to know for iMedia about scripts. I hope you found it helpful.